Say you're a college student shopping for a late model used car. Well, your search will probably start with the well-known Asian auto manufacturers like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. These are the obvious safety choices for a reliable point A to point B car that won't break the bank. However, the mundaneness of these options are enough to sway certain people towards other options. See, there's nothing more depressing than being shuttled around in the backseat of your grandma's beige Toyota Camry your entire childhood, and by the time you're old enough to drive, you've only graduated a few feet to the front row of mundaneness. Now, if you're someone like me who craves a little bit of excitement while they sit in traffic on the way to their dead-end jobs watching the years tick by, something like this 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia might catch your attention. See, for just $15,000, you can pick up a sporty, stylish, and unique Italian sedan that to the untrained eye still looks like a brand new car. But just because you can do it, the question remains, should you? Well, let's find out. While Alfa Romeo has spent years developing a reputation based largely on Italian feng shui, they are arguably better known for their inferior build quality. While this reputation for lack of reliability is nothing new, it's a little bit more complex in the present day. You see, a few years back, Alfa Romeo merged with Stellantis, another manufacturer infamous for their lack of build quality. So that means what we're witnessing now today is a culmination of the two least reliable auto manufacturers merging together and coming up with this final product. So it's time to check it out and see how it's holding up over time. Starting on the exterior with styling, this stallion certainly lives up to the hype that is Italian automotive design. Some of my favorite features on the exterior of this Alfa Romeo include the beak-like grille, which harkens back to a heritage of Alfa Romeo, which is a tale as old as time. Another one of my favorite things on the exterior of this vehicle have to be the multi-spoke wheels, complemented by the red Alfa Romeo brake calipers, which are flanked by this beautiful script font on there. It looks absolutely wonderful. And although this is finished in a rather lifeless gray color, I think it stands out in a sea of mundane vehicles on today's roadways. And in my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful sedans on sale today. I absolutely love the way this thing looks. Up next under the hood, this Alfa Romeo is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder mated to a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. Altogether, this powertrain is good for 280 horsepower, and let me tell you, when it's firing on all cylinders, this thing is simply a hoot to drive. Now let's talk about reliability. When you think about overheating, you often think of American muscle cars from the 60s and 70s, cars with massive power plants with cooling systems that simply couldn't quite keep up with the demand to cool them on super hot days. Well, let me tell you, this Alfa Romeo does not abide by these stereotypes. You see, about a year ago, I was at a bike shop when I got a call from my brother saying that the Alfa Romeo was overheating about an hour away from where I was. So I dropped everything I was doing and told the bike shop owner I was on my way to help my brother. And the owner, who knows me and knows I drive older Volvos, made a comment to me as I was leaving. Well, you see, this is what happens when you drive old cars. And to him, I quickly replied, well, it's actually a 2017 model year vehicle that is currently out of commission. So nice try there, but my Volvos are solid. Anyway, upon arriving at the scene to assist my brother, it turns out that the overheating problem was attributed to a leaking purge valve right up against the firewall of the engine. So after realizing what this was, simply a leak rather than a more serious problem, we were able to top off the fluid on the Alfa Romeo and attempt to limp it home. Now, when we were just about 5 minutes from home, we started smelling this unique smell, which smelled kind of like a tasty German pretzel that was just a little bit overcooked. By the time we pulled up outside our house, there was billowing smoke coming from under the hood. At that point, we opened the hood to actually find the insulation inside the engine bay on fire. Yes, this car caught fire. So I immediately ran to my other vehicle where I keep an automotive fire extinguisher and put out the fire swiftly. It turns out that whatever was leaking inside the engine had got so hot that it actually caused the insulation, which should be fire retardant, to catch fire. I don't know how this happened, but it did happen. I'll show you some of the damage later. But anyway, once we went to Alfa Romeo, we had that purge valve fixed. And by the way, the warranty that we purchased on this car, because how could you buy a used Alfa Romeo without a warranty? They refused to cover any of the maintenance that was done for that issue there. At this point, we had thought the overheating problem had been solved, but fast forward a couple of months and I'm hearing things about people driving the car, an electronic throttle control light is coming on, it's going into limp mode, all this stuff. Things that I can't really diagnose over the phone. So I get home and, you know, this is very intermittent. Sometimes it drives completely normal, other times the light comes on immediately. But for the most part, it's driving like fine, just a few warning lights. It's an Italian car. The check engine light's off, the light bulb probably burnt out. But this was unique because the car was actually overheating. It would signal a warning message on the dash while we were driving, car is overheating. It would go into limp home mode. Did not know what was happening. The coolant was completely topped off. This car was actually tricking itself into overheating. It wasn't overheating, but the computer was telling it it was overheating. Anyway, Alfa Romeo refuses to fix this, but I have this bill from an independent auto mechanic that we went to. And anyway, after $800 in parts and the same amount in labor, and this included one temperature controller for $575 and a knock sensor and all that type of stuff, the issue was solved and it's been smooth sailing ever since. So I can tell you that the first couple years of ownership here have been relatively unpredictable in terms of reliability. Another thing to keep in mind with all of this is that you can't do any maintenance on this vehicle by yourself. You can try, but I wouldn't recommend it. For all you DIY mechanics, an oil change is usually the first thing that you jump to when you start working on a vehicle. It's pretty straightforward. You got the filter, the drain plug, all that sort of thing. Well, this car, it's pretty low to the ground. It has an underguard protector that has about 20 Torx screws that you have to screw out. So if you're doing this in your driveway, it's incredibly difficult to be under there and get the right angle with a drill to get all these Torx bolts out. So once you drop all of those down, you do the oil. The car does not have a dipstick. You have to go onto the infotainment screen to read the oil level, so you got to do all that stuff. And then when you go to reset the maintenance light so you don't have to drive around saying you need an oil change all the time, you actually can't do that. You have to have a dealer scan tool to be able to reset the maintenance light. Now, I know what you people are saying online, that there is a way to press the gas pedal approximately 3 times, rub your belly to the left, and then hop on one foot to reset that maintenance light. But I tried all that stuff. It didn't work for me. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I did something wrong with that trick. But anyway, it's not exactly straightforward, even if there is a way to do it at home. So I'm just going to say you need to go to a dealer to reset that maintenance light. So don't even try working on this car yourself. You're going to be going to the dealer or an independent repair shop for any issues that you have with this thing, even regular maintenance. Up next, on to the most beautiful part of the Alfa Romeo, in my opinion, and that is the interior. Now, I know what you're all thinking. This thing probably has a lot of borrowed switchgear from Mopar vehicles. And that is partially true, but mostly not. Now, some of the steering wheel buttons and the windshield controls are, you know, straight out of something you might find in a Dodge Dart, a cheap economy car. But in my opinion, they honestly don't even look that bad, and they feel fine, completely, you know, solid to the touch. They don't feel cheap. The only cheap thing that I found on this interior is this upper visor control thing with the sunroof and the lights and that sort of thing, straight from a Dodge Journey, Dodge Dart, Dodge Caravan. That thing feels really cheap. Whenever you press it, the entire headliner moves. That doesn't feel good. But the rest of the interior is actually beautiful quality. I love that Alfa Romeo went with their own infotainment screen for this. They didn't even go with Chrysler's Uconnect, which in itself is a decent system and easy to use and all that, but they wanted to feel a little bit more bespoke in this interior. So they went with more of a European style thing, something we see in German cars with more of a wider but yet shorter screen in the center here. This is not a touchscreen. It's all controlled with this little dial in the center. And I actually really like this. It's easy to use. It does lag behind a little bit sometimes. It's a little slow. But aside from that, I really like this interface. It's not one of these crazy touchscreens with a million different submenus. Pretty straightforward. Another thing that I really like on the interior here is how they kept simple buttons and knobs for things that you use every day. It might seem tempting to put something like the heated seat or heated steering wheel on a screen, but let me tell you, there's nothing nicer than saying, hey, my ass is a little cold, let me just push this button. It's that easy, okay? Another thing, it's a little bit hot in here. Maybe I'll just dial this fan. Okay, it's not that hard. It doesn't have to be on a screen. This is perfect. This is what people want. Stop putting this stuff on screens. Please, for the love of God, we spend enough time with these stupid touch screens at home. The last thing we want to do after spending an entire day touching touch screens is when we're a little bit hot, touching a screen. Give us knobs. Okay, good job, Alfa Romeo. This is nice. I also really like the steering wheel. This small center horn, very old school, kind of looks like a Porsche in my opinion. Another thing I really like, and I'm not sure if it's real, but it does feel and look good, is this wood trim throughout. Okay, this is beautiful, well done, Alfa Romeo. I like this interior a lot. So like I said, it's hit or miss. Some things feel a little bit cheap in here, but for the most part, it's all really well screwed together. Now let's talk about durability. Now, this car has 80,000 miles on it, it's 8 years old. The interior is holding up extraordinarily well. The driver's seat looks almost new, it's got barely any wear on it, and all the stuff that you touch every day that is, you know, high wear items are all holding up extraordinarily well in this interior. Another thing I really like, and that certainly falls in with some of the European competitors, is this shifter right here. Now, of course, I'm a fan of traditional shifters that you simply pull back and they have a mechanical connection to a transmission. But in this day and age, you take what you can get, and honestly, this thing isn't so hard to use and it looks really cool. I really like it a lot. Another thing that I want to say about this transmission, though this Alfa Romeo unfortunately is only offered with an automatic transmission, this has to be one of the most high-performance automatic transmissions I've ever used. It's got 8 speeds. It is incredibly fast shifting. I initially thought it was a dual clutch, and I was shocked to learn that it was a traditional torque converter automatic. When you put this thing in manual mode, you can bounce it off the rev limiters, and it's extraordinarily fun to drive. You shift it, you pull it back, plus or minus, you know, downshifting and upshifting. It's extremely fast. You can't even blink as fast as this thing shifts. It's really impressive, and I love it a lot. It's fun to drive. Another thing I figure I should mention before I leave the interior of this Alfa Romeo is the rear seat space. Now, it goes without saying that this is a smaller sedan comparable to something like a BMW 3 Series, but I must say that the back seats on this vehicle are a little bit small. Now, I'm 5'10", the seat's in a good position for me when I'm normally driving, and look, there's a decent amount of legroom. Headroom is a little bit compromised, probably by the sunroof, but this thing is just a little bit small. There's a big hump here because this thing is primarily a rear-wheel drive car, so you got a drive shaft hump, and the middle seat isn't exactly the most comfortable thing in the world. So if you are buying this thing for family duties, I would keep in mind that it's, you know, comfortable back here, but I'm sure some of the competitors have a slightly larger back seat. That being said, all the materials back here are the same as they are in the front. It's well put together. You've got AC vents, and you got a manual sun shade back here, so you know, if it gets a little dark, you can look at the sky, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty nice back here, but a little bit small. It's kind of hard to get out too, because you got a small opening here and a pretty high sill there, and then you've got this sloping roof line, but you know, you can get out no problem. So now I've shown you around the Alfa Romeo and shown you some of my favorite features on the vehicle, as well as some things that can be improved. Hey, nothing's perfect, but maybe I've swayed you a certain way if you were thinking about buying a vehicle like this on the used car market. But hold your horses, this video isn't over yet. See, the Alfa Romeo may look good standing still, and it's fun going over all the specs, but believe me when I say it, the driving experience of this Italian sports sedan is the best part. This thing is phenomenal at handling, going around curves, and even acceleration with this little turbocharged engine. This thing has some get up and go. Another thing I want to mention that I really like about this Alfa Romeo is that in this modern age of automotive design, we have cars that are getting bigger and bigger each year, but maybe tied to its European heritage, this Alfa Romeo is actually quite small. It's a pretty narrow car, and it's a little bit smaller than its German competitors. And this, I think, attributes to its driving characteristics. It's easy to maneuver, it's fun to fit into tight spaces, not too bad to drive around the city. This car is not ginormous. It's actually a pretty perfect size for daily driving. And so we're going to get out on the road and find out what makes this Alfa Romeo special, and whether or not its driving experience is enough to make up for some of its reliability shortcomings. So we are here behind the wheel of the 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia Q4 Titanium Edition, and I have to say I think that this vehicle is a great value. Now, we did have some problems with the car throughout our ownership of it. It's been about a year, maybe a little bit more. But, you know, maybe those issues are unique to ours. It's also the first year of production on this vehicle. Sometimes that's a little bit spotty. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the car overall has been quite good. No problems, no major problems with the powertrain, stuff like that. It seems to be, you know, a great car. It's got 80,000 miles, 85,000 miles on it. Not too bad. My favorite part about the Alfa Romeo, which is saying a lot because it's beautiful on the exterior, and you know, the quality of the interior is nice, but my favorite part of the car actually has to be the driving experience. Now, this particular one is the Q4, which means it's an all-wheel drive model, but these are a rear-wheel drive based car, which is getting increasingly rare in today's car market. It's relatively old school, but what this means is that it handles awesome. So the first thing I want to turn your attention to here is the steering on this vehicle. It's incredibly responsive. It has no on-center vagueness at all. That 370Z I drove a while back was a great handling car, and I would say this is on par in terms of steering, if not even better. It's extremely quick. As soon as you turn the wheel, the vehicle is darting in that direction. It's a few turns lock to lock, so that makes it extremely quick. You don't have to turn the wheel a lot to create a lot of movement on the road. Now, in that same vein, what I will say is this car has one of the worst turning circles of any vehicle I've ever driven. Good luck making a U-turn on, you know, certain streets that you may be able to do it in another car. This thing cannot do U-turns. It's really bad. Small drawback, probably due to it being all-wheel drive. But we're here on a bit of a rougher road that's curvy, and I have to say the suspension is just the right amount of firmness coupled with compliance. So it's not, you know, a Subaru BRZ where you hit a pebble and your head goes through the roof. It's relatively composed. It's got good comfort. It's comfortable for daily driving, but it's firm enough that it doesn't have that much body roll. It's incredibly competent for a vehicle of this size, especially something that you're buying to daily drive. You know, this thing is on par with cars that are a lot smaller and lighter than it, and that is saying something, you know, coming from a manufacturer that, quite frankly, has a number of critics out there. So I have to say that the Italians are known for building cars that handle well, and that certainly holds true here. Now, another thing that I really like about this car is the powertrain. So, of course, all my vehicles are manual, and I'm kind of surprised that this Alfa Romeo is only offered with an automatic, considering that it's from Europe, where like over 90% of the cars are manual. And even over there, it's offered only an automatic. As far as automatics go, especially today, for a torque converter automatic, this thing is phenomenal. I really like the manual mode on it, and it's extremely quick. And I mean, this thing shifts in the blink of an eye. It is almost hard to believe. I thought it was a dual clutch when I first drove it. I looked it up and I was, you know, really surprised to learn it was a ZF 8-speed torque converter automatic. Now, one thing being said, it does get a little bit weird at low speeds. Sometimes it hunts and pecks between first and second gear a little bit too much. It feels a little bit jerky, almost like an automated manual. I don't know why it does that, but that's one thing. At lower speeds, it can kind of jerk you around a little bit, but that's par for the course and something that I would say is worth it, you know, when you consider how well it drives at anything over 20 miles an hour. Another thing worth mentioning is the acceleration on this thing. Now, you might think, you know, relatively decent sized sedan coupled with a 4-cylinder, this thing might be a little bit sluggish, and it's not. This turbo makes an incredible amount of boost and really puts you back into your seat, and this car has a nice amount of turbo lag, so it really feels like it's got a good kick when you hit the gas pedal. And I really like that about this thing. It definitely feels like it has a lot of get up and go. 280 horsepower is quite a good number, coupled with the all-wheel drive. This thing launches pretty hard off the line, and I love driving it. It has just enough engine noise that it makes you, you know, feel like you're not driving an electric car. But, you know, in my opinion, it should be a little bit louder, but I do like the sound coming from this. I'm sure there's plenty of good options for aftermarket exhausts out there. But, you know, in my opinion, I wish it was a little bit louder from the factory. In terms of other things, of course, you've got the infotainment. The AC works great. Heated seat, heated steering wheel, dual zone climate. So you've got a lot of luxury features in this car, for a bargain price tag. Like I was saying, $15,000 can get you into one of these, a little bit more for the all-wheel drive, depending on where you're located in the country. But I think that's a really good deal as long as you're okay with the prospect of having some unexpected maintenance. Now, another thing I mentioned is the warranty. I highly recommend you purchase one of these with a warranty, which is exactly what we did. Now, I don't know why they don't cover anything, but I'm pretty sure that's how they make money, is they get you to buy the warranty and then figure out any possible way out of it. So, you know, maybe they cover coolant leaks, but they don't cover coolant leaks from the left side of the engine. I don't know, maybe it's something like that. But I recommend getting the warranty because chances are some unexpected maintenance is going to occur with the car. But, you know, that's pretty much it. I really like how this thing drives. Hope you enjoyed the video. It cost me about 20 mosquito bites, so I hope it was well worth your time.